Had a pretty interesting week this last week. Found out that a friend of mine had committed suicide and was able to go to his funeral on Saturday. Um, I don't know what you say in situations like that. Steve suffered from addiction most of his life. There were some periods where he had overcome it, but it came back. It's the saddest thing. I guess the saddest part of it was at the funeral I sat and listened to his kids, and Steve was conscious enough that he realized he had issues and didn't want to be around his kids and pass those issues along to his kids. But then I sat and listened to his kids at the funeral express regret and express a longingness to know their father. One of the boys stood up and said he didn't even cry and didn't even feel bad his father died. He just didn't even know him. And we're talking about a kid that's probably 16, 17, 18. It's kind of in that ballpark. Because his dad wasn't around. His dad was off dealing with his addiction, drinking. And wasn't around. Oh my gosh, I thought it was terribly, terribly sad. I was incredibly sad for those children. I know some families are that way, and that's the way some kids are raised. I thought about my own kids, and we have our spats. Me and my daughter got in a little tiff the other night, and I didn't put her to bed, which is a real rarity that I don't go and tuck her in and talk to her a little bit before she goes to bed, and we watch a couple of videos and do kind of a nightly routine and things like that. But those are kind of the things that I, even if I don't get to spend a lot of time with them during the day or work on a lot of projects with them or different things like that, I get to at least spend that time with them. And even though there may be an instance where we don't, the majority of the time I am spending that time with them, and I'm developing those relationships. And to think that he didn't get that. He probably got it when they were infants and toddlers, and then he moved out, and they just never got to know him as they got older. Your dad's a great guy. He was incredibly funny. He was incredibly insane. He's the type of guy that would do and say things that most people were not brave enough to do and say. Very, very politically incorrect in everything that he did. Almost really to the point of making you feel uncomfortable, but incredibly funny though. And I feel bad for him. So it was interesting. There were a whole bunch of other things that kind of swirling around that. But that's I don't know. I guess the older I've gotten, more of my friends have had more of those types of instances happen. Either death from suicide or death from accidents, or one friend already died from a heart attack, and he was in the early 40s. So I don't know. It's I guess a little bit of a awakening to your own mortality, I guess. You could go at any minute. But anyways, I guess I just wanted to talk about it for a minute. It has nothing to do with t-shirts, I know, but if I had anything I could encourage people to do, I think about Steve committing suicide, Ben, another friend of mine committed suicide, and it's easy to think, oh my gosh, why didn't I reach out to him or anything like that. His whole family was there. His whole family, his coworkers, and all these people that were probably more directly associated with him at the time. As years have gone on, we haven't spoken quite as much. But we've definitely spoken periodically. But even those people, even the closest people to him, didn't realize and weren't aware and didn't stop it, and or weren't able to stop it or prevent it. But I guess you would just hope that people would get the help they need, talk to somebody, even call somebody that you've not talked to for a long time. There's always somebody who'd be willing to talk to you about it, and I think that humanity is such that most people would be helpful, sympathetic, caring. In that circumstance, people just don't want to see that happen. They don't want to see families go through that. And substance abuse. Your family and your children are so much more important than that. So, just gotta realize it. Gotta realize it, and gotta make the sacrifices to put things where they need to go. So, I've been there. I know what it's like. So, it's not impossible to overcome it. So, have a good day.